How's it going, traders? Welcome to this week's Forex Forecast. If you want to watch the full-length forecast, join the membership in the description down below. Starting the forecast off with the US dollar index. The past week, the banks added 1,451 long contracts and they got rid of 606 short contracts. Starting things off with the weekly chart here, I've been talking about how I think it's possible the US dollar does pull back up to weekly supply that is located at 110.66. Now, just based on what we are seeing here, we are clearly due for a pullback, but like I always explain to people, just because we are, quote unquote, due for a pullback does not mean that we are going to get a pullback. We could definitely just pull straight all the way up to a weekly supply. It's definitely possible. Now, we are pulling back on the lower time frames. If you look at a 1 hour chart here of the DXY, you can see we actually now have a 1 hour downtrend. So that is a sign that we are actually pulling back in the US dollar. And actually on the 4 hour chart, remember we had this demand respected at 105.77, and now it looks like we are coming back in for a second test. The problem with this zone now is that it will be below the trend line, which a lot of the members know I'm not a fan of zones below the trend line like this. And not only that, it's been tested before. So this zone is definitely much lower odds. So if we do hit this zone, I am kind of expecting it to break, but who knows? We could see this zone react to the positive side. Now, for the time being, we are inside of this daily area of demand right now at 106.224. So we could definitely see the dollar react positively off of this daily demand zone. What is also possible is that we get a deeper pullback, because in order to get all the way up to that weekly supply at about 110, I personally think we need more than momentum like we have here on the DXY. I personally think we need not just momentum like this, I think we need something like this and a nice looking trend. Something like that where it looks healthy. We've already had the healthy pullback. That's what I think we need. So it's definitely possible we break the zone as well and get a pullback like this as we approach 110. Obviously, we are going to have to monitor this daily demand zone to see what takes place. But for the time being, we have a 1 hour downtrend. So we could be looking for day trading shorts in the dollar. But remember, guys, it is going against the overall momentum. And as long as this daily demand zone is in control, I'm going to be pretty bullish the DXY. On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. The past week, the banks they added 267 longs and they also added 19,723 short positions. Remember, if you are new to this channel and these forecasts, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like if you are enjoying the video so far. It helps with the algorithm. And look at the weekly chart here of the euro. Remember, this demand zone is essentially in control. We haven't quite removed that yet. I don't really want to call this removed, that huge wick. So essentially, the demand is essentially still holding. It's not the best looking chart. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say this is really easy to trade or, it's super obvious. On this 4 hour chart here, we are clearly breaking these downward trend lines, leaving us with demand here. On the 4 hour chart. So if you are bullish the euro, which I'm personally not too bullish the euro, if we do get a pullback down to this demand zone at 1.05, this could be your 4 hour demand zone to use as your higher time frame, and look for confirmation on a lower time frame if you're a day trader inside of this zone. And the reason I want to look for confirmation only is because the overall momentum on the higher time frames is actually down. So I am actually expecting this zone to break. That's why I'm saying we need to go on a lower time frame and look for confirmation first before just entering here. And then if you are bearish, it's kind of tricky to trade the euro right now because we're clearly pulling back and there's really no quality supply zones up here for me to point out that have any meaning in my opinion. So what we need to be waiting for shorts is for this zone on the 4 hour chart to be removed first. And if we are left with 4 hour supply, that could be our potential trade right there. As if we go back and look at the overall time frames again, I think we could be headed back, down to this target down here, this weekly demand at about 0.99750. I know that's a big move, but I'm just saying if we can get the euro to start to trend again on the 4 hour time frame, I think that's where we could be headed. So far, if it's more evident on the 1 hour chart, we have zones being respected along the way up. So we're clearly seeing some bullish pressure here in the euro. But remember, the overall trend on the daily chart, it's pretty much down. It's not really a great trend. The zone is tested. That's the nearest one. So I really don't know where we're going to pull back into. But at the end of the day, the momentum is down with profit margin to the downside on the euro. On to the forecast for gold. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,154 longs, and they also added 17,435 short contracts. Remember, we are inside of this weekly demand zone, and I don't know if any of you guys participated In the survey that I held about the weekly chart on gold, I asked you guys, what do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think this weekly demand is going to hold, or is it going to break to the downside? Now, we got 215 votes. Not really a lot of votes. I have almost 15,000 subscribers. I'm not sure how, it only got over to 215 people. But anyways, 74% of you guys said you thought it was going to hold, and 26% of you guys said it was going to break. I personally think it's going to hold. Now, I'm pretty sure in last week's forecast I said this zone is a reaction off of this zone, so it's not the best zone ever, but I really think anywhere in this area at these two weekly zones could be great to look for confirmation longs in. But I just released a short form video on gold. Didn't get a lot of views either, so you guys probably didn't see it, but there is some sort of monthly demand zone down here that we could easily retrace back to before we push up. Now, I haven't really seen the evidence of that taking place yet, which would be the removal of these two zones. So if we remove these two zones, I think that's where we are headed. But in the meantime, we need, in my opinion, to be continuing to look for longs in gold. Now, on the 1 hour chart, we started to get confirmation here. The problem with this is, okay, so we did remove the downward trend line. That's a good sign. That's definitely some sort of confirmation. The problem is I really don't see any demand in this area. This is definitely nothing I want to be going in long at. So it's really not the best time to be trading. What I would be looking for now is some sort of 1 hour uptrend like this. And at that point, I think looking for longs on day trading timeframes would be okay. As far as confirmation goes now, what we could be looking for on the 4 hour chart would be the removal of this supply. This is a proven supply zone because we've had the reaction off of it already. So if we push up to here, remove this 4 hour supply, that would be your 4 hour demand confirmation trade like that. I know this is a large move and this is more for your swing traders, but I'm just letting you guys know that's what I'm personally looking for. I'm sure that with this pretty big move here, this green move on the day trading timeframes is looking pretty bullish, but just remember, we could get a pullback first before we continue to rise up. And on the daily chart, the trend is still down. So far, looking at this time frame, we really have not gotten any significant confirmation that gold is going to be going up. Yes, there's a large gap to fill here. We could easily react to the upside. But with that demand and control, we certainly want to be favoring longs. We just need to wait for the confirmation here on gold. Unfortunately, I just don't see any zones for me to point out for you guys right now. Just the way the markets work. But at the end of the day, guys, weekly demand is in control on gold. We certainly want to be favoring longs and looking for longs. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week, the banks added 5,851 longs, and they also added 1,375 shorts. Remember, on the weekly chart, we do have weekly supply and control, but really, guys, we are seeing no evidence of price even really slowing down. I mean, we have seen, if we go down to the lower time frames, we have seen some sort of pullbacks here. But what's really crazy is, we've pulled right back in demand. It's been respected, multiple times. We had this weird pullback, and demand was essentially respected to a T here. So it's nice to see that, and we're, again, getting a positive reaction, at least off of this daily zone, at 148.362. So on the USDN, we have a daily uptrend. Weekly supply is in control, but it's looking weak. So in my opinion, this daily uptrend that we have is actually more important, especially since demand zones are being respected. Speaking of demand zones being respected, we had a beautiful reaction. I mean, this huge wick is just crazy. I pretty much ignore any wicks like this. If you took a loss at any one of these zones during there, that sucks. It is what it is. Pretty crazy. But anyways, as you can see, we wicked right through all this, but the zone was still respected. So in my opinion, that's pretty crazy based on, just supply and demand and it being respected. So with that being said, demand is in control. We can continue to look for longs. Yes, we are kind of at the highs now. But at the end of the day, the demand is in control. The daily trend is up on the yen. So in my opinion, looking for longs is going to be your best bet. If you want to get more zones like this throughout the week and get my daily chart analysis as well as my daily breakdown videos, check it out. Links in the description down below to the Diamond membership. We'd be happy to have all serious traders join. We have video lessons and much, much more. So if you want my daily analysis and more, check it out. Links in the description down below. And as far as trading the USDN goes now, we've had a pretty big move up, so I don't really want to be chasing price, but we are about to contact this 1 hour supply at 149.84. We're going to need to see evidence that the trend's going to continue and break this 1 hour supply zone. If we break that 1 hour supply, any 1 hour demand here would be great. And that's also this. If I could have that zone on my charts for all the members as well. So that's why you guys should join the membership as well, because you can get these zones throughout the week as I trade them. So as far as the USDN goes, this supply zone up here is going to be the next test as we continue to go up. Forecast for the GBPUSD. The past week, the banks got rid of 10,839 longs, and they also added 11,510 shorts. Now, you guys remember we broke this weekly demand zone, so I was expecting to move all the way down to 1.16. Now, we have seen a little bit of a pullback. If you can see here, we had this red candle here, and then kind of a green candle here. I don't trade candle formations. Maybe somebody in the comments down below can let me know what these candle formations are. I think a hammer candle or something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what candle formation that is. I don't trade candle formations, but we are starting to see a potential pullback in the GBPUSD. It is more evident here, at least on the 4-hour time frame. As you can see here, we have 4-hour demand zone, kind of similar to the Euro chart, where this is our new 4-hour demand zone. It's not great, but similar to the Euro. If you are bullish and you think we're going to be pulling back in the pound because, you know, at the end of the day, we are quote unquote due for a pretty big pullback. If you just look at this overall, you know, downward trend we are having, I wouldn't be surprised if we pull back up to like 1.24 or something. So if you are thinking that's going to take place, we have 1 hour demand down here at 1.21, just like the Euro. We could be looking for confirmation on a day trading time frame inside of this 1 hour demand zone to potentially trade up to 4-hour supply. If I've been saying 1 hour, I apologize. I've been supposed to be saying the 4-hour chart. And at the end of the day, we have 4-hour supply up here. If you want to trade the continuation move, we have the 4-hour supply at 1.238. So we could see a move off of that supply zone. So at the end of the day, you could be trading, you know, this demand and the supply and kind of be trading back and forth in between there. Remember, confirmation is going to be your best friend though, as there's really no trend here. And especially if you start to pull up here, there's really going to be no trend. So it's difficult to trade. So at the end of the day, mark out these two 4-hour supply and demand zones. And we could be using these if you're a day trader as your higher time frames. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. The past week, the banks added 12,123 longs, and they also added 4,668 short contracts. Remember, this purple supply zone is in control on the daily chart at 1.37131. I talked exactly last week about pretty much exactly what's taking place. I said, I think this supply will be taken out, and we're actually going to react off of this supply above and react down. Now the question is, are we going to pull all the way back down to 1.35279? Now remember, if you look here again, this is a very good supply zone. I like the supply zone a lot. I like what it accomplished. If you go back here, it removed 2 demand zones in my opinion. So that's a good sign. And it was kind of a potential trap setup here as well. That's why I think we reacted off of it so positively. But remember, the daily trend is up and it's very, very strong. So trading against that isn't really the best bet, but since the daily supply is in control, I think it's actually okay. Now, if you want to short, it's pretty much got to be on day trading timeframes, because if you look here on the 4-hour chart, we have a very strong demand zone at 1.36. So I think we could be pulling back to this demand zone and then react off of that. So we do have profit margin at least down to 1.36. Now, what I think we could see first before pulling back down to there is if you go to a 1-hour chart, since that daily supply is in control, we really want to be looking for trades on a 1-hour chart. And I have identified this 1-hour supply at 1.371. Now, I don't really like this. I like the supply zone as far as the move away. What I don't like is the basing here, this huge wick. So I had to draw it a little tighter. But remember, we could easily spike above the supply zone. So if you like the zone, you might want to have a wider stop on this one as we trade back down to the 4-hour demand zone. So what I think we could be seeing take place is a pullback up to this 1-hour supply 1.37 and a reaction down that to the downside. So you could use this zone as your higher time frame and look for 1 minute, 5 minute confirmation off this 1-hour supply zone, whatever you like. But at the end of the day, I think that's what's going to take place. And even if we don't react off that supply zone and we can keep pushing down, like I said, the first target to the downside is this 4-hour demand at 1.36, and then the next target will be on the daily chart down to daily demand at 1.352. All right, on to the Aussie US dollar forecast. The past week, the banks added 3,361 longs and they got rid of 1,467 shorts. Remember, top-down approach here. We are inside of this weekly area of demand, and it's also monthly demand as well. But it's not the best zone, and it's tested. So it's a very tricky time to be trading right now. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy to trade right now. It's difficult, right? When we have a daily downtrend, but then a weekly zone becomes in control, we see a lot of whippy price action. That's why, you know, if you've been getting stopped out lately, don't worry about it. It's just the way it is sometimes. So it has been tricky. Remember, the overall trend is down. So essentially, we want to be favoring shorts. The problem with it is that, you know, we were just going side. I mean, essentially the trend is down. We have demand being respected right now. So what I would need to see to continue to trade the way to the downside would be the removal of this 4-hour demand. And if we are left with 4-hour supply, that would be our trade right there. And real quick, just a reminder, lifetime access is available to the membership as well. I know a lot of people don't want to pay monthly. I get it. So lifetime access is available and the price will be going up soon. So I just wanted to touch base on that. So at the end of the day, 4-hour kind of going sideways now, but overall trend is down. As far as fresh zones for me to point out, we already had a reaction off the zone, so I don't want to point that one out. And there's really nothing else. So we just need to see, you know, price start to turn around again. Whenever the overall trend is down and we want to favor shorts, we're going to get these little spurts of, you know, moves to the upside, and we simply just need to wait for supply zones to short. Unfortunately, I'm just not seeing anything here that's fresh, so now we need to wait for fresh zones to be formed. So we basically need to wait for this little pullback we are seeing end, and then we can hop on short again. And remember, why do we want to hop on short? Well, because the weekly demand that I pointed out, it's tested, it's not great, and the daily chart, the trend is down. So we definitely want to be trading with that trend. On to the USD Swiss forecast. The past week, the banks added 6,393 longs, and they got rid of 1,234 shorts. Really easy one here. We have daily momentum to the upside. We are pulling back into daily demand zone. The better demand is down below, so we could essentially be trading, looking for longs at both of these zones. It's definitely possible this one breaks, we pull back down to this better zone and then react. So keep that with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, we are seeing price already react positively off of this demand zone. So what I would be looking for here for trading this one, well, we can see on the 1-hour chart, we had a 1-hour supply zone, very well respected, and we actually have a very good looking 1-hour downtrend right now. So the confirmation I'm going to need, because remember, the daily demand is in control, but we want to look for confirmation. So the confirmation I'm going to need to see is something like this, where we can not only remove the supply zone, but the downward trend line as well. Both of these removed would be fantastic, and if we are left with 1-hour demand here, this would be our confirmation trade, just like that. So this is exactly what I'm going to be looking for here in the USD Swiss. Really nothing else other than that. And why is this zone so important? Well, not only did we react off of it positively, which is proven supply, this zone actually broke this zone from back here. And if you remember, this is a zone I pointed out in last week's forecast on the 1-hour chart. We got a beautiful reaction off of that supply, off of that demand zone. So that's why we need to see this supply zone removed, especially since we've already got a reaction off of it. So essentially just waiting for confirmation here on the 1-hour chart on the USD Swiss. And that's as we come off of this daily demand. So expecting to see a positive reaction to the upside here on the USD Swiss. Last but not least, on to crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,844 longs, and they also got rid of 7,343 shorts. Really simple analysis here. We had a beautiful upward trend, and the trend line was essentially broken here with this supply zone at 88.10. If you guys know, from price reacts off of demand and supply, it usually moves from supply to demand. Now, we are inside of demand right now at 82.37. We could be looking for longs off of this demand to basically trade from demand to supply. So it's really simple here. Your profit margin is from 82.37 to 88.10. That's as you view it on a daily chart. That's on a daily chart basis. So we could essentially be looking for longs down here to trade up to daily supply. Now, we don't really want to just be hopping on longs just yet. What I would be looking for here, very similar theme of this forecast, is to wait for confirmation. So far, we have nothing here yet. But if you look, we have a nice supply zone at 84.74. And we got a reaction off that supply, so it is proven supply. That's my favorite type of confirmation. I will look for confirmation. You know, if you look at the zone up above at 87.51, right up here, we haven't reacted off of this zone. I would still wait for this zone to be removed for confirmation, but the problem with it is it's not proven supply. So whenever we're looking for confirmation, I personally love to see a proven supply zone removed. So if we can get something like this, where we break not only the supply zone, but the downward trend line as well, leaving us at 1-hour demand, that would be our trade right there. So that is what I'm going to be looking for this supply zone to be taken out at 84.74 on oil. Yes, if you want to jump the gun, you could be looking for longs right now on day trading timeframes. I think it's fine. It's just a little bit risky, right? So if you think we are going to retrace back up to there at 84.74, we have kind of already got some sort of confirmation, at least on like the 1-minute, 5-minute chart. So yes, you could be looking for longs, kind of just jumping the gun with this daily demand in control. You could say the daily demand's in control. I want to look for longs up to here, and I think that that's fine. But confirmation is still going to be your best bet. So I think longs are the way here on oil. The thing that's making me a little bit nervous is the fact that it's below the trend line, but at the end of the day, I think we gotta go with it to trade up to daily supply. But who knows? We could actually, get stopped out down here, push down to 76.30 at this daily demand zone. That's still pretty decent. So who knows? But at the end of the day, we have a daily demand zone in control. In my opinion, we gotta go with it, especially since we see clear profit margin up to 88.10. If you guys want to watch the full length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.